I am 82 years old. I am sitting in a house that is fully paid for, in a chair that is very comfortable, looking out a window at a garden that is perfectly manicured. My heart rate is steady. My blood pressure is excellent for a man my age. I have enough money in the bank to ensure that I will never be a burden to anyone. By every metric of a sensible life, I have won. I made it to the finish line without a scratch. And that is exactly why I am sitting here, feeling a kind of hollowness that is difficult to describe to you. I want to talk to you about safety. I want to talk to you about the instinct to protect yourself, because that was my life's work, really. I didn't set out to be a coward. I set out to be smart. I set out to be steady. I spent 8 decades ducking. I saw the punches coming, the heartbreak, the failure, the embarrassment, the grief, and I stepped out of the way. I thought I was clever. I thought I was preserving myself. But now, looking at the end of things, I realized that I wasn't preserving myself. I was pickling myself. I am preserved, yes, but I haven't been tasted. I haven't been used up. When I was in my 20s, I thought life was something you had to manage. I treated my days like a ledger. You minimize the losses, you mitigate the risks, and you bank the steady, predictable returns. It made sense at the time. I looked around, and I saw people getting hurt. I saw my friends falling in love with the wrong people, getting their hearts ripped open, crying in bars at 2 in the morning. I saw them taking jobs that didn't pay well because they had a passion for them, and then struggling to pay rent. I looked at them and I thought, that looks painful. I'll pass. There was a woman, let's call her Elena. This was back in 1968. She was everything I wasn't. She was loud. She laughed with her whole body. She had a temper. She made me feel things I didn't know how to categorize. When I was with her, the world felt vivid, bright, dangerous, but she was risky. She wanted to move to the city. She wanted to travel without an itinerary. She argued with me when she thought I was wrong, and she loved me with a ferocity that terrified me. I could see the future with her. I could see the fights, the struggles, the intense highs and the crushing lows. I could see the potential for a pain so deep it would destroy me if she ever left. So I ended it. I did it cleanly. I told myself I was being rational. I told myself we were incompatible. That's a word you use when you're trying to dress up your fear as wisdom. I chose a different path. I met a woman named Margaret a few years later. Margaret was wonderful. She was kind. She was sensible. She was safe. We never fought. We never raised our voices. We built a life of quiet, polite cooperation. I loved her in a way, but I never felt that thing, that terrifying electric current that tells you you're alive. I avoided the pain of a stormy relationship, yes, but I also missed the thunder. I spent 40 years in a climate-controlled room, and when Margaret passed away 5 years ago, I grieved, of course, but there was a part of me that wondered if I was grieving her, or grieving the fact that we had spent a lifetime just existing beside each other. It wasn't just love, though, it was everything. I stayed in a job I didn't care about for 35 years. It was in logistics. I was good at it. It was secure. There were men I knew who started their own businesses, who chased ideas. Some of them went bankrupt. I saw them lose their houses, I saw the stress on their faces, and I sat at my desk, drinking my coffee, thinking, at least I'm safe. I avoided the pain of failure. I never had to go home and tell my family I'd lost everything. I never had to feel the shame of public defeat, but I also never felt the rush of building something from nothing. I never felt the pride of looking at something and saying, I did that. I just kept the paperwork moving. I traded my potential for a pension, and now I have the pension and I can buy whatever I want at the grocery store, but I don't have a single story about my career that is worth telling. I remember my son asking me once, when he was about 10 years old, if we could go camping. Real camping, out in the woods. I said no. I told him it was because of the weather, or because we didn't have the gear. But the truth was, I didn't want the discomfort. I didn't want to sleep on the ground. I didn't want to deal with the bugs or the possibility of things going wrong. We stayed in a hotel instead. It was comfortable. It was easy. I avoided the backache. I avoided the cold. But I missed the sunrise over the lake. I missed the smell of wood smoke in my son's hair. I missed the moment where things go wrong and you have to laugh about it together. My son visits me now. He's a good man, but he's polite. We talk about the weather. We talk about sports. We don't have those deep, rugged bonds that come from going through the mud together. I kept him safe, and I kept myself comfortable, and in doing so, I kept us strangers. That is the slow cost. It doesn't happen all at once. You don't wake up one day and realize you've ruined your life. It's much more subtle than that. It's a stripping away of color. It's a gradual lowering of the volume. You say no to the trip because it's too expensive, or you might get sick. You don't get the dog because it will eventually die and break your heart. You don't speak up at the dinner party because you don't want the awkwardness of an argument. You don't visit your dying friend because you want to remember them how they were, which is just a lie you tell yourself to avoid the smell of the hospital and the look of death. I did that. My best friend from college, a man named Jack. He got sick in his 50s. Cancer. It was ugly. I went once. I stayed for 20 minutes. I couldn't handle seeing him like that. I felt like if I got too close to his suffering, it would infect me. So I stayed away. I called. I sent cards. I was busy at work. When he died, I didn't feel the sharp, stabbing pain of loss. I felt a dull, heavy shame. I realized that by avoiding the pain of his death, I had denied him the comfort of my friendship when he needed it most, and I denied myself the honor of being there for him. I protected my feelings, but I lost my humanity in the process. This is the thing nobody tells you about protecting yourself from pain. You think you are building a wall to keep the bad stuff out, but that wall is solid. It doesn't have a filter. When you block the suffering, you block the joy. They come through the same door. I see young people now, and they seem so obsessed with mental health and boundaries and avoiding toxicity. And I understand it. I do. Nobody wants to hurt, but I want to grab them by the shoulders and say, don't be so good at this. Don't be so good at cutting people off. Don't be so good at guarding your heart. Don't be so good at avoiding the messy, bloody, difficult parts of being a human being. I am sitting here in this perfect, quiet house, and I would give everything I own to be heartbroken. I'm serious. I would give my pension, my security, my health just to feel the crushing weight of a love that didn't work out. I would give it all to be standing in the rain, cold and miserable, because I was trying to do something difficult. I look at my hands. They are old, spotted, but they are smooth. These are the hands of a man who never put them in the fire. I look in the mirror, and I see a face that is aged, but not worn. There is a difference. I have a neighbor down the street. He's a few years younger than me. He walks with a limp. He's got scars. He's been divorced twice. He went bankrupt in the 90s and had to claw his way back. He lost a child, a tragedy I cannot even imagine. When you look at him, you see the roadmap of a difficult life. But when he laughs, my God, the sound of it, it booms down the street. When he sees a flower in the garden, he stops and stares at it like it's a miracle. When he drinks a glass of wine, he savors it. He has been broken open, yes. But because he has been broken open, there is room in him for the light to get in. I am a sealed jar. Nothing has leaked out, but nothing has gotten in either. I kept waiting for the right time. That's another trick of the safety-minded. We tell ourselves that we are just preparing. We are waiting until we have enough money, enough stability, enough emotional bandwidth. We think life is a rehearsal, and that the real show will start once we have secured the perimeter. But the perimeter is never secure, and the show started a long time ago. I remember thinking, I'll travel when I retire. Well, I'm retired. My back hurts when I sit on a plane. My energy is low. I walk the streets of Paris or Rome in my mind, but I am here, in my living room, watching it on the television. The experience I wanted? It required a younger body and a foolish heart. It required the willingness to get lost and sleep in bad hostels. I can buy the first-class ticket now, but I cannot buy the hunger I had at 25. That hunger was a gift, and I starved it to death in the name of prudence. If you are listening to this and you are younger than me, which you almost certainly are, please listen to what I am not saying. I am not telling you to be reckless. I am not telling you to destroy your life, but I am telling you that pain is the price of admission. If you want the deep love, you have to be willing to be devastated. You have to give someone the power to destroy you and trust that they won't, but know that they might. That is the bargain. If you hold back 5% of your heart to keep it safe, you will never really know what the other person is capable of, or what you are capable of. If you want the career that means something, you have to be willing to fail publicly. You have to be willing to look like a fool. You have to be willing to work on something that might not pay off. If you want the deep friendship, you have to be willing to sit in the hospital room. You have to be willing to have the hard conversations. You have to be willing to carry someone else's burden when they are too weak to carry it themselves. Do not let fear dictate the architecture of your life. I let fear be my architect. It built me a very sturdy, very safe, very boring cage. I am running out of time. I can feel it. The days are short. I sleep a lot. And when I look back at the movie of my life, it's pleasant. It's a pleasant movie. There are no sudden twists. There are no terrifying villains. But there are no heroes either. It's a movie about a man who walked carefully down the sidewalk and never tripped. And who wants to watch that? Who wants to be that? I sit here and I try to summon the memories that matter. And they are so few. I have the memory of the day I almost quit my job but didn't. I have the memory of the night I almost told Elena I loved her, but didn't. I have the memory of the trip I almost booked but didn't. My life is a museum of almost. Don't let that happen to you. Go get your heart broken. Go get rejected. Go fail at something you care about. Go get the dog, even though you know you'll have to say goodbye one day. Go to the funeral, go to the wedding, go to the difficult family reunion. Let life mark you. Let it roughen your edges. Let it leave a scratch. I look at my smooth hands and I wish they were scarred. I wish they were calloused. I wish they told a story of a man who grabbed life by the thorns and held on tight. Instead, they are just hands. They held the railing. They held the steering wheel. They held the remote control. It's getting dark outside now. The garden is disappearing into the shadows. It's very quiet in here. It's always quiet in here. I hope, for your sake, your life is a little louder than mine. I hope you have trouble sleeping tonight because you are so in love or so worried or so excited about what you're going to do tomorrow. I hope you are exhausted from trying. I am just rested. And let me tell you, being rested is not enough. If this meant something to you, don't just nod. Go do something that scares you. Go say the thing you've been swallowing. Don't wait until you're 82 to realize that the safety you built was actually a prison. Good night.